because we have the Raptors super fan. Get out of the way, Navbatya. Here's Brian Goldfinger.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to buy.
Decided to make an appearance post-trade deadline just so you can give your thoughts and views as to what was Jonas Valanciunas. Bye-bye.
Perfect timing.
How's it going, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So let's start with the trade deadline. Were you expecting more of the Raptors, or do you think they pretty much only made their splash earlier when they picked up Leonard?
I'm kind of shook from the trade deadline. I don't know what to think because I think that the Raptors' big hole was shooting going into the deadline and remains shooting. They haven't addressed that hole, and they've basically made, I think, a slight upgrade with Marc Gasol at the forward position. I don't know what to think, and I'm sorry to see JV leave. A lot of fans have grown up with JV. He's been with the Raptors for 6-7 years. We've seen him develop, and now it seems like a part of our soul is gone, just like a part of our soul was taken away with DeMar for a slight upgrade at that position.
But when you were on a couple visits ago, you did mention that you had some concerns about Jonas and his game and whether, being a big man playing that role was the right fit for the Raptors. The Raptors of this season, maybe not compared to maybe seasons past.
Yeah, the center position is really evolved to the point that you need to be really quick on your feet, and JV's a player who can only guard another 5. He's very matchup specific. I think with Marc Gasol, you're getting a bit of a better switchy defender, albeit his lateral quicks aren't the best, but he's still a bit better than Jonas, and he's also a better passer and playmaker, so it might lend into a bit more of the Raptors' free-flowing ball movement. I don't know what to think until I see it, because I just don't know how Gasol and Ibaka are going to translate on the floor, whether or not they're going to play at the same time or not, who's going to dominate the minutes, whether or not Gasol's going to be okay perhaps coming off the bench or playing a reduced role. I just don't know, and we only have about 30 more games to see if this team can really gel.
I'm always a little curious and concerned about upsetting the apple cart by moving a big player and big in stature. I know that obviously Valanciunas has had his issues with injury this year. With CJ Miles gone as well as part of this deal, so there's a few pieces here for the future gone in order to go for it all this year. Do you, if you were to sit down and open up your crystal ball today, do you think this team has what it takes to go all the way?
I think I look at Milwaukee, and Milwaukee really scares me, especially with picking up Mirotic at the deadline. They have way too much shooting, and that's what the Raptors needed. And then I also look at Philadelphia, and they added Tobias Harris at the deadline. They just have a lot of talent. Can the Raptors compete? Yes, they can. Am I as confident now? No, I'm not. But I'm more confident that they can win the first round. I think with Jonas in the lineup, it wouldn't have surprised me if the Raptors lost in the first round because they just ran into a hot team. Now I'm fairly confident with Gasol. Gasol's not going to let the team, Gasol and Kawhi are not going to let the Raptors lose or fizzle out in the first round. So they're certainly not going to fizzle out. And I'm also confident we're going to see maximum effort from this team in terms of giving it their all with Gasol. With Jonas, I could just see him kind of blending and fading away and being mentally not there. Gasol, I can't see that. He's been through it.
Last night's game against Atlanta obviously was not the good first half they wanted, but do you kind of give them a bit of a pass because you're missing some pieces, not everything is returned back yet? They were kind of dressing a underperforming lineup, and Leonard was out of the lineup too.
Yeah, last night's game against Atlanta, I mean, Jordan Lloyd played, and Jordan Lloyd, he's great in the G League, but I don't know if that necessarily translates to the NBA. They only had, I think, 9 men dressed. Everybody was shook from the trade because everyone had relationships with CJ Miles, DeLon Wright, and Jonas. It's hard asking the team to go out and mentally prepare for a game and play and perform. These people are humans after all, and they're playing in Atlanta in front of 40 people. How motivated are they going to be playing on the road in front of 40 people in a game that they know they can win if they're at full strength?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is hard, I think, now with for a guy like Masai, and maybe in the Toronto marketplace, we take that general manager's position really seriously. Like the Jays made moves, and it was Anthopoulos we talked about, or same with Masai. But So Gasol's 34, and he's got 1 year left after this deal. And if this doesn't work out, because I think you're right, Brian, I think Philadelphia and Milwaukee have made substantial upgrades. This, to say that this is Masai's job lost if they go out in the second round is probably a little harsh. But going forward, you have Kyle on an expiring contract next year. You have Gasol on an expiring contract next year. And you have uncertainty with Kawhi at the end of this year.
Well, it's not uncertain because he got drafted to the free agent list on the NBA All-Star team by LeBron.
By LeBron, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's big cogs. Vliet is nice, Van Vliet is nice, and Siakam is nice, and Anunoby's nice, but this is a team that with two of those three guys are gone, the aforementioned guys we talked about. This is a harder place to compete in the East all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I give Masai full credit for going for it, and in order to succeed, you must first attempt. And I can never fault a GM for swinging for the fences, and Masai's swinging for this year, and I don't fault him for that because we've seen what kind of the status quo was with Kyle and DeMar, and now they're trying something different. And in the event it fails and Kawhi walks and they trade Gasol, they'll be in a position for a quicker rebuild because Kyle's got 1 year left, Serge has got 1 year left. You can easily trade those expiring contracts and you rebuild, and that's all you can ask. You go for it, and if it doesn't work out, you rebuild, and I'm okay with that.
Knicks coming up on Saturday. What kind of a matchup are you expecting?
With the New York Knicks, after they traded Kristaps, I'm not sure. They might be fired up, the Knicks, to play, but I expect the Raptors to come out with a W.
Maybe they should ask Kevin Durant what he thinks.
By the way, I saw speaking of LeBron a little bit earlier, and of course, I know everybody's laughing about the All-Star game. I guess there's a little more flavor towards the NBA All-Star game because you're not doing as much like as you would in football or in hockey, where hockey and football is a little more checking, and obviously the NBA All-Star game is a little more finesse, so you get to be able to kind of flex your muscles a little bit more. But everybody, of course, putting a lot of focus this morning on that draft and LeBron, drafting all the free agents that are going to be free agents after the end of the season to go play on his team. But what'd you think of that?
LeBron's being LeBron.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I've actually liked is this theory that the New Orleans Pelicans don't want to deal with LeBron's team, the Lakers, because of A, tampering, or B, dealing with LeBron's agent, Rich Paul. So I like seeing the owners and kind of agents getting back in one way, shape, or form at LeBron and his agent for tampering. So I kind of like seeing that.
Yeah, I would agree there because that thing, and you know what? And the other thing with Dell, the guy for the
Dell
GM,
Demps.
Yeah, Demps. He had no choice but he might as well have just gone shot for the moon and said, "I'll take your 6 players, the entire roster, and then I'll take your 4 firsts as well, and take it or leave it," because he understands he's going to be in a better spot in July when the Celtics can open the door.
Yeah, I think the Lakers were really offering a lot, and rightfully so, because LeBron only has so many more years left to play. I would do the same if I were in the Lakers boat. Let's see what the Celtics offer. We still don't know, and then he can leverage the Lakers offer against the Celtics and vice versa.
So Brian Goldfinger, personal injury law here on the regulars this morning. Talk Sports Radio Extra 90.5. Again, Raptors and Knicks going tomorrow, same time as the Leafs and Habs. Of course, we'll have the Leafs and Habs here on Extra tomorrow night as well. Some good news for you, by the way, back to the lawyer front, because you've been nominated for, let's say, a pretty prestigious award.
For a nice award, yeah. I was nominated by Canadian Lawyer Magazine for Top Boutiques for Personal Injury Law in 2019. So if people want to vote, go to the Canadian Lawyer Magazine website or check out my website, goldfingerlaw.com, and you can certainly vote for the good guys, so to say.
Obviously, you've had a bit of you wrote a blog, and you can find this on your website. But tell me more about kind of how your thoughts are around this award right now.
Look, it's a nice award, but the way it's worded is exactly the way the Law Society kind of came down on me for. They're looking for the top litigation boutique that specializes in personal injury law. And the Law Society doesn't like, number one, lawyers using any term that makes them qualitatively superior to other lawyers. So a lawyer can't go around and say, I'm the best, I'm the best. So they're looking for, number one, the top boutique, which asserts that somebody's the best. And number two, they're looking for the firm that specializes or is specializing in personal injury law. And the Law Society doesn't like it when lawyers say that they specialize in an area at all, unless they're a certified specialist. And there's no certified specialty for personal injury law. There's a certified specialty for civil litigation, but not personal injury law. And, I'll give you a few other areas of law where there's no certified specialty. Cannabis law, entertainment law, regulatory law, there's plenty of areas. So, again, it's a lot of sucking and blowing in terms of what can and can't be done with respect to marketing. It's not very clear, and just the irony of the wording of this award and the nomination of my law firm being nominated for the award certainly doesn't escape me after my 2-year saga, which actually continues to this day.
Still goes on.
It's still going on, yeah. The Law Society appealed my ruling because they didn't like a few things that the Law Society Tribunal said, and it had to deal with two things. Number one, me saying that I'm the lawyer with the golden touch. They didn't like that because it asserts some sort of qualitative superiority. Even though the three judges who heard it said, well, you've got to be kidding me if you read the decision. Nobody in their right mind would think that anything that Brian Goldfinger touches actually turns to gold and makes him a lawyer. So, they're laughing just like you were. They said, that's cool. And the Law Society didn't like it, so they're appealing that. And they're also appealing the fact that I said that my law firm, we specialize in things like car accident law, and we specialize in car accident law, brain injury law, slip and falls. They didn't like that. I won on that issue, but they didn't like that at all, so they're appealing that. So my case has now been heard by 9 judges, so to say. So I had 1 at the pretrial level, 3 at the hearing, and then we had an appeal earlier this week that was heard by a panel of 5. In the event that my motion to quash the appeal is unsuccessful, which I believe it will be unsuccessful, frankly, it'll then be heard by perhaps a panel of 1, 3, or 5 again. So I'll have a lot of judges. It'll be well over 2 years of time in terms of this going on. All lawyers in Ontario pay Law Society dues, and part of their dues are going to fight this issue specifically. And I gather that the Law Society has spent tens of thousands, if not perhaps I wouldn't say hundreds of thousands, but perhaps nearing 6 figures of dollars in terms of fighting this issue, when a simple phone call would have done, frankly. If anyone from the Law Society would have called me and said, hey, Goldfinger, would you mind changing A, B, and C? I'd say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Law Society, no problem. I don't need any problems. Done. Changed. Bye. Let me go on my merry way. But that's not what they did. They went to, as Drake would say, 0 to 100 real quick. And, want to make an example out of this. I've been on the front cover of the Toronto Star 3 times. I've been featured by the Peterborough Examiner a number of times. You can count the media outlets. I've been in the National Post on this, all over. And it
right here
stop.
on Extra 9.5 as well.
Exactly.
Mark Million, you only ended up on the front cover of the Peterborough Examiner once, and that wasn't for a good reason, was it?
Well, no. I actually, that shot that I made, did you see that? I nearly hit the guy right in the lens. Wouldn't have been personal injury because he was covered. He was behind glass. But I did put it top shelf. There was no two ways about it.
Goldfinger Personal Injury Law, of course. Where can people find you?
Visit the website, goldfingerlaw.com, or you can certainly email me at Brian, Brian, at goldfingerlaw.com.
And, of course, make sure you go and vote for him if you use the services.
Absolutely.
Give him a vote.
Vote Canadian Lawyer Magazine. Go for it.
Anything we should be keeping an eye on in the top of your head here? Obviously, slips and falls, probably a big one right now with the thaw, freeze, ice storms, everything else going on.
Yeah. It is slip and fall season, but I want to point people to last night on TV Ontario, TVO, The Agenda with Steve Paikin. There was an interesting discussion about car insurance in Ontario. And having car insurance in Ontario, it's law. You need to buy it. And there was an interesting discussion with a member of the Ontario Trial Lawyers Association, along with a member from the Insurance Bureau of Canada and a victim group, just talking about why insurance rates in Ontario are so high and what we can do about it. And actually, the provincial government has a poll in terms of whereby they're gauging, they're asking consumers if car insurance is working. And you could check out that link. Go to my Twitter feed at Goldfinger Law. I've posted a link there. But it's just an interesting debate and discussion. You could just also look at the discussion at TVO, The Agenda with Steve Paikin as well.
There we go. Brian Goldfinger, Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. Raptors Knicks Saturday. You liking it? You looking forward to it?
Big win.
I hope so. I hope it's better than the first half was last night.
Don't watch the first half. Tape the game, fast forward, and there you go. That's how you watch the games.
There you go.
Yeah.
Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. This is Brian Goldfinger.
You are a clever, resourceful man, Mr. Bond. Well, thank you. Perhaps too clever.